So here we are again, working on the GTB8, known as Stinky. And if you've been watching the series in the previous episode, you would have seen that I was back again to sorting out carburetors and flooding. Hopefully I got that sorted now. The other thing was that I had a problem with it running and then just cutting out. So this is before I did the test run. So it was only in the garage, so it didn't actually break down anywhere, but it run reasonably nice. Well, nice. And then it would cut out. This wasn't the carbs, because obviously I sorted them out. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's the coil. The fact that it was quite quick just to shut down indicated to me anyway that it probably was ignition. So I borrowed a coil off me mate, and which is a good coil apparently, and I'm sort of sticking that on there to see how that works. And well, we'll see how it goes. Right. Although we've got it running, I'm not happy with the way that it's running because there's something going on with the timing and I can't work out what it is. So for the first thing I need to do, I have to take a plug out. Now to do that, I've had to modify this socket. Now you might be lucky in your socket set on a V8, one of these V8s, and find it goes in fine, but I'd have struggled because I needed one with a really thin shank. So I put that in the lathe and I just turned it down. I mean, I could have ground it off or something, but I'd have got the lathe, so I just span it down a bit. I could have span it a bit thinner, but anyway, it fits. I did struggle. I went to Halfords and a few other places trying to get a thin shank one, and I just couldn't find one. So if someone knows, you know, where to buy one from, perhaps put it online, because I can't have been the only person to have that problem. Anyway, I'm gonna open that plug out. Right, that's tight. I don't think it was tight, I think it was just the socket to do with a little bit more off the edge, and it snatches a bit when you put it in. Right, there's the plug. Be interesting to see what colour. Oh, I dropped it. Typical. Alright, don't fish him out. Got a bit of white on the end. Let's have a look at the end of the plugs out of curiosity. Oh, it's a bit black. It is a bit black. Right, my plan is to find it, get number one on top dead centre. Just double check that the timing mark on the crank pulley does match up with top dead centre on the number one. Just start from basics, I guess. I'm not sure, I don't know. I'll find out. Right, so torch and everything. I don't know if we can see the timing mark on here, but it's down there somewhere. I'm waiting for that line to line up with the number one on the distributor, which I know it's got to go around a bit yet. So I apologise if you can't see it. If that's coming up to it, let's just double check with the cap. Right, that's number one. Number one, so I've got the white line on it. What I've got is, I've got the white line, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a white line there, just not quite coming up to the pointer. I know that that is just coming up to pointing on number one, because when I put the cap on there, where's number one? Hang on, where's the cap springs? There. Now I know that's number one because I've marked it. So that there goes to number one plug, which I've just taken off. So when I take that off, it's just, the rotor arm is just about to point to number one fire. So the question is number one piston just about to come up to the top? Okay, so I'm going to put a screwdriver down in number one. I can. Hopefully, yeah, I can feel the piston, it's just there. So I'm going to turn the engine over and just stick the spanner down in there until number one is just on the top. So let's set the camera up. Right, have I got long enough arms? I need to touch that on the piston and pull this up until that's right up the top. Just about. It's going down now. Let's go back to the way a bit. Fiddly on your own, but doable. It's going down. Okay. The other way again. So I'm going to stop. Oh, so it's about there somewhere. Now that's interesting. That is interesting. Now, no, that's not the most scientific way of doing it, and there is a bit of tolerance. Now, I know that's not the most scientific way of doing it, and could have put a depth gauge in there, but I haven't got one. But by feel, you can certainly feel when it's right up the top, and I know there's a little bit of one way or the other. But whichever way it is, and I reckon that's not far off now, whichever way it is, the timing mark, now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but let's have another go. Right, the timing mark, can you see that down in there? I'll get a screwdriver on it. Right. That mark there, that white mark, if you can see it, represents top dead centre. And the end of that thing there, which is a bit dark, I know, is the pointer. So that should be in line with that. Now, whatever I do, it isn't. So that is out. Now that's interesting. Let's give it a bit of a test. Right, I'll pop the plug back in. The gap on it is, the gap on these apparently are 0.9. So 0.9, there you go. 0.90. That is just about lovely. So we can pop him back in. So what I do, the tool I use for this is a bit of plastic tubing, which I've jammed an old bit of wood or a pencil up the end. I'll put that over the end of that, okay, which gives me a nice long stick to wiggle around and just be gentle with it. And then I can just have to get it started. And you want to make sure that it goes in nice and easy, at least 2 turns. That's gone in there. That's going in there lovely all the way, pretty much. I can tell that. The tubing slipped a bit. There you go. Put it back on again. And that's definitely, because they are very easy to strip, I've been told. Good authority on my mate Dave. Now gently, I'm just going to put that on there and just feed it a bit. Yeah, that seems to be good. Everything's in the way, that's the problem with making things. So, you know, this is in the way, this is slightly on the crook. You just have to fight your way around it a bit. I bet someone out there has got a special spanner that does it. I ain't got one, whatever it is. That's it, get that tight, that's nice. I'm not sure how many people out there know this, but this is actually a ballast resistor circuit. So what it has is a ballast resistor, and what that does, it reduces the electrical current going to the coil during normal running. So the coil actually runs on slightly less than 12 volts. I think it runs on something like 9, whatever, when it's normally running. But that gives you the opportunity to, on cold startup, you twist the key, and that adds a secondary circuit to the coil, giving it 12 volts. Now most sort of, I don't know, 60s, 70s, 80s cars and vans, early Ford Transits, Corsairs, things like that, they had a big chunky ballast resistor. Anyway, but obviously 2 wires connected to it. Now, I knew the MG was a ballast circuit, but I just couldn't find the ballast resistor. Anyway, after looking in the book, I could see it was clearly marked in the book, but not in the normal way. Normally, a resistor on the electrical circuit would be like a fairly short, sort of zigzaggy up and down line, indicating resistor. But on this one, on the MG one, it's a great big long wiggly line. And I thought, what on the earth's that then? It transpired that the actual ballast resistor is built into the wiring loom, and it pretty much goes from the left-hand side of the engine bay up somewhere by the fuse box from memory, down underneath the front by the oil cooler, right along the front of the engine, and then pops up pretty much to the coil. So pretty much the whole of that wire is the ballast resistor. So if that for some reason goes, you've got to either cut it out of that part of the loom or dismantle the front of the loom. So now I'm at the point, I've been a bit fed up with doing the ignition. I can't get it running really nicely, can't seem to get it to time up as I think it should do. So I've bitten the bullet. I've bought a complete new illumination electronic ignition kit. And so I am basically taking out all the old illumination ignition kit and replacing it with new. So it should be fairly straightforward. Now actually what I am going to do is I'm going to replace one bit at a time. It comes with its brand new coil, so we'll try the coil and then I try just changing over the electronic box itself. I'm trying to isolate the problem if I can, so if I find that the electronic box is okay and it's just the sort of the eye thing, the thing that replaces the points inside the coil, I'm hoping I can reuse the main electronic module on the MGC that I'm rebuilding, and then obviously just buy a module, the eye pickup for the MGC, and hopefully save yourself £300. Anyway, one bit at a time. Let's see if we can get it timed up and running a bit smarter. Got a couple of issues. When we put it back in, we need to make sure that when we put it back in, we need to make sure that the oil pump drive lines up. So you've got that slot in there which lines up with, so I'm looking down in where the Dizzy come out, distributor. Don't know what that called, Dizzy, makes you dizzy looking at it, I guess. I'm trying to show you the slot where the, I don't know if you can just about see it or not, where the oil pump lines up with. How about that? No. Maybe, just about. Anyway, down in there, there is a slot. I think just about see it. And that's what the Dizzy lines up with. So, my next challenge is to get the Dizzy in the right place and with number one in the right place as well. So we'll put the torch there. Let me tell you about the torch quickly. Mate of mine bought me this Draper torch about 2 years ago. It now looks like it's 10 years old. Rechargeable, magnetic things on the back so it goes anywhere you like. Brilliant. It really is bright thing. It really is a bright torch and all sorts of things. It's got a hook on the back here that you can pull out. I'm not being sponsored by Draper, but I tell you what, this is a damn good tool. Right, so before I put the Dizzy back in, I make sure I've got the rotor arm in the right place. So I need to mark where number 1 is. So that there I know is, where is it? That one there, number 1. I'm going to put a bit of tape on there just to know that it's number 1. In fact, at some point, if I take the leads off again, I'm going to put tape on them all. I'm going to put little numbers on so I know which one goes to each plug. But for now, I know that's number 1. So that's number 1. I need to make sure that the distributor is pointing towards number 1. So I'm lining up the clips. Getting the clips on there, which I think is that. That looks about right. I said that was right. And number 1 is just where that slot is, just before that slot. Just before the slot. Now that's interesting. Now I am referring to the book, and as I said before, get the book, don't be like me, read it. It does actually say to line that up, to line that pointer up with that slot. So I want far out, so it's there. So that then gives me in the right position. Now it's saying align the oil pump drive, which is down in there. I don't know if that's going to be long enough. So I need to work out where that is pointing in relation to that. So we're going to go in there like something like that. And I'll stay out of the way. Okay, and now looking at that